Think warm thoughts, Christian.
Texas spring break. Texas spring break.
Be 150.
Good time.
Dark
for-
Side of the Mic podcast. Whoa, I'm a little loud. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're here today with the Greater Lockhart for ACC. Just go around the table. We'll start with Christian. Everybody introduce yourself.
All right. Christian Cisneros, Leon Cigar Lounge.
Alfonso Sifuentes, a lifelong community member.
Nicole Stephens, community member.
Lori Rangel, community member and the treasurer for the Greater Lockhart for ACC.
And I'm Nick Metzler, lifelong community member and president of the Greater Lockhart for ACC. Okay.
So what we're doing today, we're trying to get the word out. So we're in the petition process. This is the first stage of bringing an ACC campus to Lockhart, which in my opinion is very long overdue. And Nick, if you don't mind, kind of just take us through the process of where we're at right now and what needs to happen.
Starting right now, there's 5 portions to the process, but right now we are in the petitioning process, which means that there's nothing else to do but get signatures in order just to get the initiative on the ballot, and then from there, more steps will happen as far as engaging with ACC, getting their service plan and what they're going to outline, but that's the very entry level of the process. There's nothing else we can do but collect signatures.
Yeah, and I think a lot of confusion gets mixed up because, of course, a lot of people want to get down to the details, but it's early on. It's not. This thing goes in stages, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so, that's where we are right now. So everyone needs to get down here, sign the petition, or where can they sign the petition at?
We have a couple of locations. Corridor Title, behind into the side of HEB, and the Lockhart Chamber of Commerce, which is also on the square. Or we will come to you. Anyone who wants to sign the petition, you can reach out to our Facebook page or to anybody who's associated in any way, shape, or form, and we'll bring a petition to you to sign.
And just as important,
Yes.
we have the petition right here.
Yep.
So
Come on
come
down.
on over here and sign it, please.
Grab a slice of pizza.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, how did you guys get involved, and what made you guys decide to get this rolling for the community?
I think for me, I can't speak for anybody else. There's been other individuals who've been here for a very long time who've been a lot more involved just in this. This is not something that is a spur of the moment idea or something that just happened overnight. I went to ACC for a few courses and I had to commute to Austin and to other locations. When all this started, this started way previous to us with Mr. Christian Cisneros' grandfather. So I'll let him give a little feedback on that, and then we'll kind of lead into where we are today.
Yeah. So like in the early 90s, in 1990, my grandfather was elected mayor, and he's very integrated in education. Like he felt how important that was for not only the community but for just the students in general. He was the head of the business department for ACC, and he knew how important ACC was to not only students that just weren't prepared for going to like a major university just to get those natural skills, but also people that just wanted to better educate themselves and get into a better position financially for their families. And Lockhart's always been on that outskirts of the district. So any student or person that wanted to go to ACC had to pay full tuition. And one of the benefits that he really wanted to focus on was getting us in district so that the tuition was going to be a lot cheaper for the students or for anybody that wanted to take those courses. And he felt it as a huge building block for the community. But he met with a lot of people that just weren't very interested, and it was an uphill battle because Lockhart at the time was really small. There wasn't shown a lot of interest, but I feel like with Lockhart growing and the amount of kids coming out of Lockhart ISD that not necessarily are prepared for like a major university could get those certifications or associate's degrees or some kind of skill set that can help them get a little bit further along, and then not only giving us opportunities for our seniors and to take those classes to get ahead of the curve. And I know my oldest son took ACC classes as just extra and went into school as a sophomore instead of a freshman because of those opportunities, but he still paid the full-on tuition. So it's just kind of one of those things, like it's very important for like these outer communities to kind of get involved in that and kind of have that opportunity, and it's just something that we just really need.
So, and one of the, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the advantages for bringing a campus here is the free tuition for the in-district.
So this is, currently when you're in the taxing district, the numbers change a little bit depending on the day and how tuition works out, but it's typically in between 65 and 70% reduction in tuition. So for instance, if you're paying $3,000 for a semester of tuition, it actually is probably about 1,000 of it is only the tuition, and for Lockhart currently the other 2,000 is out of district fees. But there is an initiative on the table, and it's been in the news, and I think they tabled it this week, but they're going to revisit it in April, and it would essentially provide free tuition, 100% free tuition to high school graduates after a certain point, and that's still to be determined. We've had every indication that will continue to go through because of the funding that they're receiving from the state. Not only are they providing 2-year degrees, and they do have some 4-year degrees, but they're putting out a lot of certifications, a lot of CTE stuff. Yeah. So the state is continuously dumping money into that. So that is the main reason that they're able to offer those kinds of programs, is because that's where the funding is coming from. Yeah. Additionally, your taxing districts and all that kind of stuff also. Yeah. It's just an added incentive.
But if you really think about the concept of being an out-of-district, paying per credit hour, say, hypothetically $100, and then you can be in district and pay $50 per credit hour.
Yeah.
In that kind of grand scheme of things, makes a huge difference from someone that doesn't have a lot of money to go to school, that needs to better their situation or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
Or has that drive to better educate themselves.
Yeah. And if I could expand on that a little bit, James. But first of all, I do want to give shout out to Christian and Leon Cigar here for being a great host for us.
Absolutely.
And giving us a platform to, expand on this great community need. And also to you, James, and Dark Side of the Mic for allowing us to come on here and spread the word, which is a good thing. But one of the reasons and my motivation has been for supporting this from the beginning, and it was so great to hear the history, Mr. Cisneros, that I believe is looking down on this and, wondering what took it so long, but, it is a different time. And my motivation has always been for the working class and preparing a educated workforce, not necessarily, outgoing high school seniors, but an existing workforce here where a certification or two could really impact not only their quality of life, but also become an attraction to manufacturing companies or other big developments that are definitely targeting us right now. So that's kind of my motivation, and I know ACC will provide for that gap in the workforce.
Yeah, and to expand on that a little bit, when these big, ultimately, people are going to talk about the tax situation and stuff like that, and I don't know if anybody is aware, but there's approximately 18,000 slated like residential lots right now, and that is additional tax revenue. But where the big tax comes in is the big businesses. So when big businesses looking for areas that they want to expand in, they're looking for skilled workforce. They're looking what kind of programs you have in place to provide that skilled workforce. The ACC thing would only expand that exponentially, because if you have a mechanism in place where private-public partnerships could happen, I mean, we are going to grow.
Yeah, the appeal for the area just kind of expands dramatically.
Massively.
Absolutely.
And where we're at right now, as far as 130, I mean, we've had multiple companies looking at this place. I mean, it's no secret that Micron was looking at us, and that's $1 billion corporation. So, I mean, if they're looking at us and they're looking at these kinds of things, other companies are sure to follow. So we want to at least, again, Lockhart is growing whether we like it or not, so we can help navigate that growth intelligently, or it's going to run us over. So I think now this is definitely the time to get something like this on the ballot.
Yeah, something that we had talked about prior also was, you stated the fact that Lockhart is growing. I like to say booming, because we're totally past that at this point. We are no longer just the barbecue capital of the world.
We're not.
We're so much more than that.
We're busting at the seams for sure.
Yeah, and it's important to make sure that when companies eye Lockhart, that they see so much more than just barbecue. And that's why once Alfonso reached out to me, I agreed to do this, because it's almost a no-brainer to me. And I wondered, like, why this long? What's taking it so long?
Just from a development, real estate perspective, James, you look around and you see a ton of land, and you think, oh, well, it's coming. But in reality, it has been prospected for a really long time. And you have these businesses and these industries that have just been waiting, but they are planning those things out. And when you talk about preparing high school students for higher education, affordable higher education, and you're also talking to a working class workforce that might be doing a career change depending on an industry that's coming in, because we all know that career change is probably something that we've all gone through and had a part of our lives. And so having a presence, ACC having a presence here where they have those trainings and they have that accessibility, and then they also have the affordability to go with it, you're putting in and giving into the resources and the infrastructure that's already here. You're keeping your people here in the county. They're working here, they're providing here, and all of that just keeps circulating. That's what we need.
And I think initially we had talked about, I think we jumped over to Christian to kind of give some backstory, but I want to express that this, again, it's not a spur of the moment thing. There was an exploratory group of individuals, of business owners, community members, officials, a fairly large group of individuals that have been looking at this and have been working on this for a very long time. ACC would not be interested in this location if there wasn't a mutual benefit for everyone. But again, that's the biggest thing, is if we can get it on the ballot. I mean, it's ultimately up for the people to decide. And the exploratory group thought that, hey, this is a great time. The people need to make their voices heard on what they need.
And that is the focus today. Let's
Absolutely.
not lose sight. The focus is to get the signatures, first step in the process, and then we can move to the next level. So we need y'all to come out here, whoever's listening, and if you haven't signed a petition, please, we need your support. Can't be done by just one or few people.
We have a Facebook page, so if you're not able to come out, you can send, Greater Lockhart for ACC's, our Facebook page. You could send us a message. We will respond immediately, tell you where you can go, or we'll come to you, like Nick and Alfonso have already said.
And so as far as the process itself, so what has to happen in order for any of this to work, because I want to make perfectly clear on what point we're at and what ACC and we are able and not able to do, because there is a misconception on what they are legally allowed to do and what we are legally allowed to do. So the first part of this was the exploratory committee. The next part of that was a PAC has to form and petition ACC. We're at that point now. The PAC formed. We're petitioning ACC. They cannot tell us anything that they will or will not provide in any capacity until this gets on the ballot. So, if assuming that we can get this on the ballot, they will come back with what's called a service plan. In this service plan, we'll outline all of their services, whether or not they intend to build a campus, just basically start to finish of everything. They cannot tell us right now that they can or cannot do anything contrary to anybody's opinions, contrary to what anybody is saying. That is illegal. I've already provided the state election code. Anything outside of that would be considered electioneering, and you're dabbling a whole bunch of stuff that nobody wants any part of. So again, let's get the petition, let's get it on the ballot, and then they'll provide us the service plan. If we don't like the service plan, then we vote no, including myself. If I don't like what they're going to provide to us, then we just vote no. But at this point, we are not there. We don't know any of the other stuff. We just have to get it on the ballot so that the people can do their job.
Yeah, I think once the signatures are vetted by ACC,
correct.
I think that's when good discussions will be had. So
yes, sir.
And one of those things too is getting those signatures. This idea that ACC is just going to share with the community. They have an obligation, and they take the responsibility very seriously to come down into the community in the summertime. I think it's 30 to 45 days of
Correct.
community feedback and public input and things like that. So in order for us to get to that point, again, having these signatures filed and submitted and everything by April, but they really are taking that responsibility seriously to come down and share with the community and have that time in the summer so that everybody's informed.
Yeah,
you know?
transparency is very, very important
It
to
is.
us,
Absolutely.
and that we definitely want to make sure that when there is a point in time that the community does get involved. And you're right, Nick. We want the best that we can get out of this deal. So,
Absolutely.
But let's work on this first step.
That's it.
So what you're saying
We need
is
signatures.
this isn't happening overnight.
No.
You're basically, we need to start the process, and don't let people think that, you know, your taxes are going to go up this year because of this. This is something that we need. It's a process that's going to happen, and get people kind of, let's start the ball rolling on it.
Exactly. And to speak to that point, that's exactly what happened initially with your grandfather, is that people were jumping to conclusions on what was not going to be provided, taxes, all these other things, before it's the cart before the horse,
Yeah.
if you will. So let's get the petition, let's get these signatures, and then let's keep moving. Let's
Yeah.
do this the way that it's supposed to be done, for sure.
Yeah, I kind of think about it as, you know, it's a door to having the open discussion.
That's it.
So if you
Correct.
if you have the even slightest idea that you might be in favor for this, and if you have questions, if not, you sign the petition. It's like, let's sit down at the table and let's have a talk.
That's it.
And that's what happens in the next stage.
Yeah, that's right.
Just from like speaking from like for me, so I grew up. I have a brother and a sister, and I felt like I was the more intelligent one. Sorry, Joseph, but one thing that he had
that,
over
Joseph?
me,
Wave.
he was a hard worker, and so now I'm a proud brother of a UT graduate, but he used ACC as a stepping stone to get to that point where he wanted to go. But I remember him working his full-time job throughout the week and coming home exhausted, and just the drive from Austin, coming back from Lockhart was a major pain on him, so it would just be beneficial to us. Like, I feel like you're more likely to go and take courses for a higher education if it's like right in your backyard.
Exactly.
And so that.
Well,
I know
nowadays
that-
it's just so hard to kind of find time to do anything. You've got so many things. I mean, especially if you're already out of school and you've got responsibilities and you have, family, to have something close by is a lot more convenient and more doable and easier for you to get to your goals, as opposed to, that's a long drive. I don't have time to make that commute, and I've got to feed the family tonight, or whatever the case may be. This just kind of helps cement that kind of mentality of that we can be better.
Yeah.
Accessible and affordability.
Correct.
Well,
Purely.
I would. Oh, can I
Go ahead.
speak?
Yeah,
Oh,
sure,
I was
please.
just gonna say I was around when Mr. Cisneros kind of started the process, and I remember people being against it at the time, and I think it was because they jumped straight
yeah.
to taxes or whatever. And I do think we're at the time. It's the time that ACC is needed. I went to ACC. I have family members that went to ACC. Went Texas State, ACC, went back. My daughter goes to ACC. She loves the ACC campus in Hayes, and to make it more affordable for anybody. Not everybody is made for a 4-year university, and not only are we just talking about high school students, but parents can go. They offer ESL, they offer GED, they offer certifications. So I think an educated workforce, or a workforce that has certifications, is an awesome community, and we need it.
Yeah. We had talked prior, Alfonso, about companies, eyeing Lockhart, like Nick had mentioned. And I don't know if you can go into, like, I don't know if we've already covered it, but, I mean, just what it means to have an educated workforce for these companies that are eyeing Lockhart.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's a great question. Being involved and being on the inside with some organizations, and seeing the level of interest here that we have the I-35 corridor to our the west of us, and we have the I-30 now here, and also the growth east of us, where you have Bastrop and Elgin, and just surrounding. We're ideally know that we are the spotlight of the world, as far as being attractive for development. But the key component that they're always going to be considering is, besides the workforce, which is very important, is also to these, your schools, the condition of your schools, and what other professional services that are, can buttress a lot of development needs. And to me, the workforce, we look here, and having lived here all my life, been working class family, and we have a great potential here. We have great hardworking people, blue collar workers, that if we just got them just the right certification, the right education, get them at a level, I believe that it's going to change the whole landscape of our community, the quality of life, and it's going to be a domino effect, right, Christian? And, so that's where my passion is. That answers your question, James.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of overlook the fact that, when we bring in those larger companies and manufacturers and businesses that come into Lockhart, those are going to offset a lot of our tax burdens.
Absolutely.
Right now, Lockhart doesn't have a lot of industry, and that's the reason why the tax burden kind of falls on the people. And the more businesses that we attract to Lockhart and the outer community, it's going to bring money and bring tax, and that's what's going to save us from, everybody's worried about, my taxes are going up, my taxes are going up. Well, if we bring businesses in here, your taxes are not going to go up anymore. We're going to alleviate a lot of that burden from us, the community, and bring it to those businesses, and then it's going to grow our community a lot better.
And on top of that,
they're looking. If I didn't stress that enough, they're
on
looking.
top of that, I don't remember the exact percentage, but it's like 65+% of workers are commuting to outside of Lockhart.
60%. Yeah, it's 60%.
So I mean, if we're bringing in business, relieving tax burden, providing jobs inside of our community, all stemming from public-private partnerships with Austin Community College, it would that's again, as what James said, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's a way to intelligently grow our community, which is, I think that's everybody's point, and people have been saying it for years, intelligent growth. You don't get any more intelligent than higher education in any way, shape, or form.
And an effect on the economics.
100%.
Which in turn is quality of life, and I think that's what we all want to strive for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it all starts with being registered to vote.
Yep.
Registered voters,
Yeah.
which is a simple process.
And voting, going
Just
out,
voting,
getting to the polls. Yeah.
And if you want to register to vote, you can do it at the Caldwell County Elections Office on Blackjack. It's out by the sheriff's department out there.
Right across from the prison.
Right across from
And
the
it's
prison.
in and out. I mean,
It's so quick.
It's so easy. So
Yeah, just something for me. So I'm 34 years old. I graduated class of 2007. I've lived in Lockhart all my life, and as I get older and my kiddos get older, it's become important to me to just give back and put back and help grow the community here in Lockhart. It's very important, and Lockhart has changed so much from when I was a kid, in a good way. A lot of people, they don't like the fact that it's growing. They want us to say small town Lockhart, and like we mentioned before, we're way past that. But something Nick had mentioned is that, if you want to make sure that this growth happens the right way from our perspective, well, then you got to be a part of it. You don't want outsiders coming in and changing Lockhart if that's what you're afraid of. You want to get involved and make sure that the change is happening, guided by us from Lockhart, the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important point.
that's right. Being proactive. That's the key. And I definitely don't want to hog this conversation, but it just reminds me that you talk about change and having lived through this, and there's an opportunity here at step by step to give the community the choice, right?
Yep.
I think that's what we're focused here. It's not what I want, don't want, what you want, don't want. It's putting the community in a position for them to make the best decision, and we think this is a good thing that's coming here that potentially impact the community for the good of it all.
Yeah, I mean, in all of our conversations so far, somebody knows somebody that goes to ACC. Somebody has a family member that's already attending or has attended. They themselves have attended. They're going to know somebody, and they're going to know somebody that they run across with in any of the industries that they, service industry here, nursing in the medical field. Having these people have the training and have a presence here and putting it back into the community. They know people in the community.
And that's a great point. If we're able to get this, the community votes on this and it goes through, and everything goes as we anticipate or hope that it will, that will expand the CTE program for Lockhart ISD exponentially. Your HVAC stuff, your electricians, it's insane if you really start looking at it. If anybody wants information on that, I've got all the flyers, I've got everything, all the information, and we'll try to give that to James so he can post it, and then we'll post it on our Facebook page also.
It's very important to get the information. Don't
Absolutely.
jump to conclusions. Don't think that it's all about taxes or it's all about a certain thing. Get all the information that you possibly can about this, and make an educated decision on whether you feel that this is best for the community. Now, granted, we all here think that this is the best path for our community, but it's up to you. And if we can get the names on the petition, then we can move forward and make that decision as a community.
Absolutely.
So, James, quick question: is anybody online that has any questions that they're shooting through, or that they would like asked immediately?
Nothing as of now.
Okay, good.
I mean, yeah, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and shoot it through. I'd be happy to respond there.
And I forgot to also include one of our other sponsors. We want to thank Republic Services for donating the pizza for today's podcast. So we'll make sure we don't leave them out.
For sure. Yeah, I went ahead and put up the graphic earlier when you were discussing the process, and from this graphic, we're at the stage 2 here of just gathering the petitions, or the signatures for this. And so after that happens, then they get the signatures get certified, and then it goes on the ballot.
Correct. Yeah, it goes to ACC. The signatures get certified. They drop off the ones that don't apply, or however they vet them. And then at that point is when they will schedule the meeting, the community meeting, and start talking about service plans and stuff like that.
Well, again, I guess there will be a lot of discussions after they vet out these signatures, and
Public
it becomes a
hearings.
legitimate petition.
Mm-hmm.
That's where a lot of discussions will begin, and we'll gear toward, like Nick said, negotiating a service plan.
And so like a public hearing, since you mentioned,
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Community
Well,
will be 100% involved.
we wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely.
We wanna
That's the
be
point.
transparent.
yeah.
So when do you need the petition turned in?
So we have a fairly hard deadline from them on when we have to have it from them, but we are shooting for us of an April 1st deadline. That way, if anybody wants a packet or any of that, we need to have it back to us by April 1st so we can verify kind of where we at, and that gives us about 7 days to get it to them.
Okay.
So if we have to pound the pavement, we're absolutely willing to do that. And anybody who wants to help do that,
Yeah, that's what's going to be my next question. Is this an opportunity to get people involved that want to know more about it?
absolutely, yeah.
And how many?
Or that want to
You
help?
mentioned how many signatures? we
That's
need
right.
and-
We need a total of 700 and. Oh yeah, for sure, right here on the table.
We just had a
you so
gentleman come
much.
up here and support. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Love to see it.
Yeah. So right now, I think you have to have. I believe it's 5%. I had the number in front of me. 5% of the actual boundary. So actually, and that's another great thing that we didn't discuss is how you specify what voting area is used. And I'll definitely get back with that. So it has to be an existing governmental boundary. So it can be county, city, or ISD. Historically speaking, no one has been able to do it where it's been at a level where it's multiple ISDs. So that was the reason for not including all of Caldwell County and narrowing it to Lockhart ISD.
Yeah.
So that is the voting boundary. Anybody who is a voter in Lockhart, in the Lockhart ISD voting boundary. If you need that map, we'll post that also. And I totally ventured off, but I wanted to hit
Yeah.
that.
So 5% of
5% of the votes.
of the eligible voters.
Correct.
That's approximately 750 signatures.
Correct.
But we're aiming for 1,000 just in case some fall through the cracks.
There's always signatures that they will that either somebody won't be a registered voter or an
When they go
incorrect
through the
address.
when they go through the vetting process.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
How does that? I was just wondering, like, how does that work? Like, is it like each signature is
yeah.
validated?
100%. So that's why we have to have name, address, method of contact, and it has to have either city address or voter ID. It's much easier for people to put their address, and we'll worry about the voter IDs later. So that's what we need.
And we're getting there. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we can safely say that we were maybe a little over 200 signatures short.
Yeah,
maybe,
about that.
Maybe less, but I mean, we're getting there, but again, it can't be done unless with the support of the community right now.
Correct.
At this first stage, you know, we definitely need them so we can, you know, get to the next level.
Well, and that's actually a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Alfonso. Thank you. We want to make sure that people understand. Everybody, in one way or the other, everybody's like, "Oh, it'll make it, no problem, no big deal." No, we need you to come out. We need your signatures. Don't just assume that it will or won't happen. It's just like voting. We need those signatures in order to ensure that, you know. They're like, oh well, we thought it was a great thing. We just thought it was going to happen. No, we definitely need the community's input. Right?
Yeah, a lot of times you see, and there was a major reaction from a Facebook post that we made, you know, regarding today's show, and it seems like, you know, the overwhelming support for this is there, but you know, the action needs to happen to
Correct.
put the signature on the paper.
Yes.
That's it.
And that's very important.
Yeah, addressing misinformation with factual information is always a thing, no matter what the initiative is. So that we need to make sure that we do that, and like James said, getting out there and getting the signatures. It was very overwhelming, the amount of support. And I'm like, that's great. Let's get your name on this paper. If you're for it, and if you're not, that's totally cool too. We understand.
Yeah, I found myself kind of looking around, and you know, I'm not very versed in taxes and the process and stuff. So thankfully, you came in and saved the day with actual facts that you can go and look up and stuff. So it always helps, you know, to have a guy like you around.
Well, you know, I have to say, and I want to be, and I appreciate that, James, and that's my thing, is that no matter what I do, or no matter where I'm at, I'm always gonna do it for our community, for the right things. And this is just one of those things that you just can't be quiet about, because of the amount of growth that's happening right now and what this could mean to the actual community. It's extremely important that we address every question, provide all information. So yeah, if there's anything that comes like that, I'd be more than happy to field any of that. And along with Alfonso and Lori and Nicole and Whitney, all of us be happy to do that.
Yeah, do you want to? That's a good point. Do you want to mention the rest of the pack?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, Alfonso is not part of the pack, but he has definitely been involved and a great help and a community member. So we want to thank him for that. And then we have Miss Lori Rangel, who is our treasurer. We have Whitney Abel, who is our secretary, and then we have Nicole Stephens, who is our vice president, and then I, Nick Metzler, am the president.
Awesome.
And I want to make very clear that there's been so many other people who have been very important in this process. But you know, behind the scenes, as far as the community in general, I want to emphasize that. I'm not going to name all their names because they a lot of them do this not for the recognition, but because of what the community has to gain for this. And I don't want to you know, put that on them. If they want to take some of the thunder for it, they're more than welcome to spill out. But there's a ton of people in the background that have been working on this for a very long time. So I want to acknowledge that.
They just put us up front here because we probably have a loud voice.
I have a big mouth, and I'm sorry for it, but I'm not at the same time.
I know I'm not shy to push for something that's good for the community, but it was such a pleasure. And we all have different stories how we got involved at what stage, and it was such a pleasure to find out that, you know, when I initially got involved and with ACC, and to the point where, you know, I'm talking to the trustees, and to find out that other people had already started rolling this ball uphill, and then to find out with Mr. Cisneros, Christian's granddad, had started this, and it was just such a pleasure to find out that the love is in this community and how we can collaborate and come together and realize that, hey, others had been on similar paths, and then we just come, and it was, you know, it was for me personally that, hey, this is a fight that I don't have to be alone in, and so I'm so grateful for that, for you, Nick and Nicole and Lori and the rest of the pack, and Whitney that's out there, who's, like I said, they do a lot of behind scenes that, we wouldn't have enough time today, Nick, to thank all the people that.
It's a group effort. So that's why I just wanted to make sure to acknowledge those people, even if they're not, you know, mentioned by name. That it's been a huge effort, and you know, it's a long time coming. Back from 1990.
Yeah.
Something that we've talked about prior, Alfonso, is coming from where you're from. and how you grew up, and you know, not education doesn't really seem as it's not looked at as a like possibility. You know, maybe, you know, whatever the situation may be, mainly financial,
not obtainable.
Yeah, correct. And it's, you know, like what this means for people. And I think about it myself. I you know, I didn't go to college after high school and whatnot, but we were talking and I was like, well, I might go take some courses, you know, if this is available, just because I have such a busy schedule when I have kids and all of that. Driving to Austin back and forth after driving to San Marcos for work every day doesn't really seem, you know, it's a major load. So if that was right in my backyard, like I've said before, you know, it's a possibility.
But
you know.
now they even offer online classes, even totally online or online where you have to meet, you know, on the camera every once in a while. So it's a good thing.
That's a drum, and you know, it's a drum that I keep beating. And I don't know about growing up. I think my wife might differ with you about, you know, I'm still trying to grow up, you know, but part of the growing up, I mean, education was always looked upon as the great economic difference maker, right? But unfortunately, some of us, you know, didn't have that. But you know, you meet people, like I can go on and on about Mr. Cisneros. You know, people, mentors in our life that stress that you know what, if you want to be to a point where you can rise above your economic situation, education is the way to go. I mean, and knowing that now, you know, definitely stress that with my family. But going back again to, I'm very sensitive to the rest of the community that didn't have those opportunities, but now there's a potential here, and that's what motivates me for this, is to give people, just give them equal opportunity through education. And this is one vehicle that can be attained if we all come together and you know, support it. So, but yeah, that's proud to be a part of it. That's all I can say.
And we have somebody, I guess they just joined, asking what the petition is for, and it's to bring an ACC campus to Lockhart.
So, and I want to be clear about that. Having the campus would be an amazing thing, and that's absolutely what we're going to shoot for. But I want to put a major emphasis on the services that are provided, because, you know, to me, obviously everybody wants brick and mortar. But there's other mechanisms that they could put in place to do that. If we're able to get the services, and they offer free tuition, and they'll come to a building here to teach these courses and do these things. I think that's something that, with a longer term goal of building a campus, I think that's.
When I think of ACC campus, I don't really think of a brick and mortar. I think of like our high school campus, like them coming down and you being able to take classes here, whether it's their campus or it's our campus or it's the courthouse or whatever the case may be. That's what I feel it more of a metaphorical campus,
having the presence,
having the presence
having
here,
access to the programs.
But make no bones about it, we want a campus.
Absolutely,
but it's just if they don't happen, and there's a time, you know, and it takes a while to build these and to do these, and the way they do develop, it's not just one building here. It's a whole, you know, a whole area, a whole different, you know, parts to this development. But in the interim, and that's what we're talking about, and get down to the, you know, the nuts and bolts about these services. And again, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here. But
let's just get the names on the paper, and then let's get it that next step.
We'll bring it out, and the community can see what's being offered, and we'll move from there. But
and once we collect all the signatures, there's a whole lot of other questions that I have, but it starts with the signatures, and then we can do this again, and we can, you know, all provide.
And we'll have to do it again.
A whole lot more details.
Definitely, and that's actually another good point, is that as soon as the signatures are in and everything's good to go, then that's when the flood of information is going to come. That's when ACC can provide every ounce of information that they have on top of other negotiations and stuff like that. So let's get to that point, and then if
that's
you
when
have
the real
additional
answers
questions,
come.
Absolutely, that is going to be the meat and potatoes portion of this process.
Right now we're just warming up the oven. Right?
That's it. That's it. We're preheating.
Rubbing our hands together.
Yep.
I'm trying to get these warm analogies because it's a little chilly out here, man. But hey, you know what? It's worth it, right, Nicole?
That's right, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, anything you guys have to add? I just I don't know what else to say, but just come and sign the petition. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, because you asked what motivates us, and you know, we had kind of family member, extended family member that came and lived with us about 7 years ago from Haiti. And I thought, this is great, because her plan was to take this course, get an associate's. And I don't know why, but I, went online, looked at ACC, and then realized that you had 2 different groups, an in-district and an out-of-district, and the costs that were associated with that. And it wasn't financially feasible for us at the time for her. And she wound up hopping over to Texas State, wound up working there, living there, all of these things, getting her set up over there eventually. But it's just one of those things where it's like just a missed opportunity of keeping her here and close by, and a job that she could have taken on with a nursing home here, which has been really amazing. And so I think about that even just 7 years ago, how that continues to motivate me, and knowing that I'm meeting more and more people that are just looking for that opportunity. Yeah.
I'm getting messages as I'm sitting here talking to you guys. They're like, yeah, the whole family's ready to sign. I'm like, well, great, man. I'll come tell you. You can come on down.
We're not going anywhere.
How long are you going to be here today?
That's a great question.
We can sit here.
We don't mind hanging out for a little bit as long as I'm sitting in the sun.
There you go.
Right.
We close at 10, so however long y'all want to be here.
Awesome. Anything else, guys?
If there's no other questions, I think we're
Say
good.
thank y'all for having us.
Yeah.
And thank you very much,
Yeah, for
Thank you.
sure. For
Christian,
sure.
James,
Yeah.
Alfonso, everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I'm glad you said this is just one segment. Hopefully we can continue on and people
Yeah.
follow the discussion. But
Yeah.
again, I always like to be appreciative of our people and our sponsors. And Christian, I want to say thank you again for hosting
anytime.
this and always putting up with these ideas that we come up with.
You're always welcome.
I'm always
Thank
running some
you.
ideas, but
Yeah.
I knew this was something.
I'm
that
always
was-
community oriented, so anything that we can do to support any part of this community, I'm all for.
And it seemed very fitting, that,
Oh, yeah.
given
Oh,
the
yes.
history that
Yeah.
it'd be here.
Oh, when
and
he
you
brought
involved.
the petition to me like right off the bat, and I was like, my grandfather tried to do this a long time ago. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's whatever I need. Whatever you need from
And
me.
as soon as he said that, man, the wheels started clicking. I said,
I think I probably got the text. He's like,
hey,
"Hey."
well, we can do this." So I mean, getting the word out, and also thank you, James, for
sure.
allowing us and giving us a platform, because if we didn't have this, it'd be a lot tougher
Yeah.
walk for us.
So follow
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Mic for part 2.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Hey, and send your
Right.
questions in, because we'll
Yeah.
we'll either address those if you want them publicly, totally fine, or if you want to reach out to us privately, totally fine too.
Yeah, and I said yes to this too when Alfonso asked me about it, is because I feel like it's important to have these long-form conversations and get into the details and any questions that anybody might have about this, because like I've said over and over, it's a no-brainer, and this needs to happen. And I feel like you guys are going in the right direction.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to say one more thing before we end. Misinformation is your enemy. If you have any questions or concerns, just reach out. It's
Get the
very simple.
information. I was literally
Don't
going to say the
regurgitate.
same
Yeah.
thing.
Don't regurgitate things that you've heard. If you want the actual information, I can cite everything that's out here. So,
Yeah.
not just myself, but anybody else here.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.